Good morning. My name is Dean Brouder. I am the Drug and Alcohol Resource Coordinator for Methuen Public Schools, and this is Let's Talk. Today, I have a very special guest on our show, a former student of mine, a colleague, and more importantly, a friend. Welcome, Jeff Osgood.
Thanks for having me, Dean. I'm great.
Great. Tell us a little bit, give us a little background of the school you went to, your training, and your experience here in Methuen Public Schools.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I'm a graduate of Methuen High School, class of 1998. From there, I went off to Springfield College and got my bachelor's degree in health education and studies. I taught health education here at Methuen High School for 12 years, and I currently sit in the role of supervisor of physical education, health, family consumer science, and wellness for the district.
That's quite an ambitious title. You have a lot of responsibility. What does that actually entail? Describe to the public. We're trying to do on this show to try to show our Methuen community what's going on in Methuen Public Schools on a daily basis in terms of drug prevention and intervention. Describe for the public your role and all of the departments that you're responsible for at this point.
Sure. So my largest role is that I supervise the 32 health teachers, physical education teachers, and family consumer science teachers in the district. My role as a supervisor is to do evaluations and observations and help them be the best they can. In addition to that, my largest role is programming for health and physical activity and wellness in the district. And so we have a freshman wellness course here at the high school, and last year we started an upper level health class that I'm very excited about, because that's the class where I think we're going to be able to add new programming in regards to all the things that you mentioned, specifically drug use and abuse. It's no surprise that right now in our community, we're no different. In our community, we are in this midst of the opiate addiction and just the horrible drug issues that are in all of our towns right now.
Absolutely.
And my job really is to help work with the health education teachers to develop programs that will help prevent some of these issues to the best of our ability within the schools, to get kids aware of the dangers, to allow them to explore these things in the safety of a classroom where we talk about the harmful effects, where we talk about not just the effects on them, but the people around them.
Let's go into that, Jeff. You know, you and I have attended many drug commission, a lot of programs in the area about the opiate epidemic, and we hear prevention. Prevention is the key to this problem. Let's go back to all the way to kindergarten, or as far as you want to explore. What's going on in the Methuen Public Schools to give our young children tools as they, at a very young age, are exposed to some of these things that we're not that familiar with?
Good question. And our health education starts at the 5th grade level.
Okay.
But I don't rule out our K-4 physical education teachers in helping kids develop healthy habits. Sure. And so all the way down to kindergarten, we focus on healthy habits through physical education and the importance of just being healthy. That translates in a health class in 5th grade towards introducing them to what drugs are out there, how drugs affect them, the very basic levels. Tobacco. Sure. What is tobacco? How does tobacco affect a person's life? How does that maybe introduce them to other drugs down the road? We are a skills-based program.
What does that mean, Jeff?
Skills-based means that we follow the National Health Education Standards, which apply a knowledge skill. So any topic we talk about, whether it's drugs or stress or suicide and mental illness, that's the knowledge base. But along with that, there are 7 skills that we focus on. Decision-making skills. We talk about goal setting. We talk about advocating for healthy behaviors. And they almost come at a point where all the skills build on each other, starting in 5th grade. Sure. So where in 5th grade we might focus on decision-making and goal setting, all the way up through the high school level, we focus on advocacy and self-management. Because by the time a kid is 16, 15, 16, 17, 18, they see these things. They're exposed to them. So now it's decision-making time in the real world. We gave you the knowledge, we gave you the background, but how can your decision-making be the next most important thing that you do? That decision in the split second. Choosing to be healthy, self-management, managing your life to say, in order for me to be successful, I need to be able to resist these temptations. And certainly having goals. Goal-oriented kids, generally speaking, have an easier time, not foolproof, but an easier time resisting some of these pressures because they can see the future. And they're able to make the connection between, hey, if I go down this path, I may not be able to get to where I want to go because of the damaging effects.
Absolutely.
Nothing's foolproof, but with the skills and adding these skills, starting in, again, really kindergarten, but mostly, specifically, the National Health Standards, 5th grade on, the kids get a lot of practice. We do a lot of role-playing, a lot of real-life scenarios with them, introducing the material and then having them use refusal skills with each other. And they laugh and they joke and they giggle, learning how to say no, write a role play, say no to your friend at a party. But it gives them that real focus that they might need to make that decision in real life.
How do you handle it, Jeff, when you have one of your health teachers down at the 5th grade and children trust their teachers, especially their health teachers? They're talking about these topics that are extremely sensitive. Children will come home, I mean, they'll come to school, they'll bring what happened at home into the classroom and share some of the stuff. How do the teachers handle that very sensitive information when you're dealing with topics that are very private, very personal? Some families, you know, they just don't want any interference. How do you deal with that? It must be very difficult for some of the health teachers to deal with some of the information that students will bring in.
Sure. First of all, I have 4 very highly skilled 5 to 8 health teachers.
Yes,
I can't be happier with the staff that I get to supervise on a year-to-year basis. They know their craft, they love the kids, and being a health teacher is different than being a regular classroom teacher for all the reasons you just mentioned.
Right.
I always considered myself a glorified guidance counselor.
Right.
Because even though I was not guiding them in their college choices and things like that, sometimes, unfortunately, I heard things that I wish I didn't.
Right.
But working closely with the guidance staff and being someone who, I think it's great that the kids feel comfortable with this staff because I trust them.
Yes.
We do send out letters at the beginning of the year. Parents in the community know or should know the topics we're going to get involved with. I've had parents send me emails or letters saying, this is a situation that's going on in our family. During this unit, I'd appreciated it if my student could be given an opportunity to leave the class, should they feel uncomfortable. We always obviously honor that request, and then I always tried to follow up with the guidance staff with this child to see if we could help that person beyond what we were going to talk about in class.
So taking it another level and trying to give the family some assistance.
Sure, I think that's our role. You know, I find that parents oftentimes are thrilled that we're talking to the kids about these things and not them. At Parents' Night, I always used to explain to the parents, we talk about human sexuality, we talk about social, emotional issues, things like that, and they're honestly very open to that as well. You know, I say, oh, we're going to teach your kids about sex education, just so you know, and most of them go, whew, thank you, that you're doing it, not me. I don't want to have to talk to my kids about that. But I also tell them, if the kids come home to you and talk about what's going on in class, we do encourage you, if you feel comfortable, to continue the conversation so that they know you're on the same page with us and that you're in support of what we're trying to teach them as far as just leading a healthy life.
Yeah, when you talked about your teachers, especially at the grammar school level, I've worked with them. We had that opportunity to work together with the SAD groups and with the health teachers, especially at the grammar school level, but the high school obviously as well. They really go above and beyond in terms of trying to get to know the students, get to understand what's going on in their families, and again, walking that fine line you know, respecting the privacy of a family, but at the same time, there's so many children coming to us with so many issues that maybe they didn't happen as often in the past, but they're happening now. And I feel very comfortable when people are asking me out in the public, well, what kind of drug prevention is going on in the health classes and other classes in Methuen Public Schools? I think of you, I think of how it's played such an important role in your life. You've been here for well over a decade, and I think you have some unbelievable staff that shares that vision in terms of trying to give these tools, give these students tools to kind of navigate through the high school years. Not easy to make the right choices, and obviously some of our children are making poor choices, but the majority of the kids, what do you find?
I find that they're very responsive in health education. I really do. You're not going to save the world anywhere.
Nope.
You're not going to save it in a health classroom in 5th grade.
Nope.
You may not save it, you know, in an 11th grade health class. But I think the most important thing that I always preach, and for my sake, what was always helpful to me was just focusing on the decision-making skills that these kids have. Decision-making skills, that is one of the national health standards. Above all the rest, it's that decision. In practicing those decision-making skills and telling the kids, your decision, whether it's in relation to drugs, getting behind the wheel of a car after drinking or using drugs, those decisions can change your life in a second.
In a second.
And trying to prove that point and work with the kids through it, I think is the most valuable thing that I ever did with the students. And that exists in the 5th to 8th grade classrooms, in the classrooms here, the freshman health class, in the upper level health class that we have, that exists. And the staff is dedicated, they're really highly skilled, so much so that it's my role to try to get them even more skilled and give them those opportunities because they want it. They want to be successful, they want to reach these kids, they outreach all the time to me and say, we got to do more, we want to do more, what can we do? They have great relationships with the resource officers in their school.
Absolutely.
I was in a class doing an observation just last week. And I got to watch one of the resource officers and the teacher team teach and talk about, you know, decision making in relation to the cops' jobs and what they see out there. And in that effort and that collaboration, I think gives our students a more than a fighting chance.
Yeah, and that's all we can do.
Because they're exposed to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Jeff, surveys. We've had many surveys about their engagement, students' engagement in different activities. Could you touch upon it? We have about 4 or 5 minutes left in the program. Could you touch about the surveys and then focus in on this new class that we're bringing to Methuen High?
Absolutely. So as long as I taught health, the director that was in the role that I currently hold before me, who actually hired me, Mary Ellen Rancourt, always used to send out the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. Right. The Youth Risk Behavior Survey is national, but Massachusetts always has its own version of it. And it has slight updates from year to year depending on what the trends in health education are. And really what that tool was we took a sampling of students getting an indication on what kind of behaviors they're choosing. Do you wear a seatbelt? Could be one of the questions, all the way to, do you feel safe at school? Have you ever been bullied? Have you ever carried a knife? Have you ever carried a gun? Have you ever smoked tobacco? Ever marijuana? Have you ever used cocaine? All those types of things. Yeah. Have you ever considered suicide? So that is actually a 99-question survey that a sampling of students used to take. Last year, I wanted to take it to the next level. While state statistics matter, I'm more concerned with this community.
Absolutely.
It's my bread and butter. It's where I was born and raised here. I grew up here. I'm passionate about it. So I modified that survey myself last year. It took quite a bit of time. But I took all 99 questions and built a Google survey with it that we can administer to the entire school, grades freshmen through seniors. I can administer it to the entire school in about 45 minutes.
Really?
They can do it on their iPads, so utilizing the technology that we provide these kids. In 45 minutes, I can get data, 99 questions worth of data from every single kid in this building. I went through the trouble of having that survey with some of our liaisons in the school district in Spanish for the first time.
Good. So
that all students, the majority of our students, can easily take this and we can get the best results possible.
And from those results, we can fine-tune our curriculum?
Exactly right. So my goal for that, and we didn't do it this year, the snow days killed us.
Sure.
Obviously, we're in peak MCAS season right now.
Yep.
There's only so many tests and surveys these kids can take without going crazy. My goal is for next year, at the beginning of the year, to take that survey in the whole building. I'm going to get permission, hopefully, from the principal, to be able to have one block in the morning when these kids come back and have their iPads. Well, they'll be able to take the survey, and from there, it allows me during professional development days with my staff to look at that survey and to identify areas where we see trends, whether moving up or down. In the past, when we did it with the state, we wouldn't get results back for the following year.
Right.
So it really limited our ability to get right on it.
Right.
And again, as soon as a kid hits submit on that form, I get real-time data broken up in pie charts and graphs of any possible answer I need. And from there, my big goal is to take that data and use it to drive our new upper-level course.
Great.
One of the trends that did come up from last year's results was an increase in mental health issues.
Sure.
And suicide ideation, which is pretty scary.
Very scary.
So in coordination with the guidance staff, I've been in touch with them in trying to bridge that gap a little better, where we can combine their skill set and our skill set and incorporate them into our curriculum more heavily to try to tackle some of those issues.
Well, that's the answer, and I think you're really on top of the ball, and that's an amazing, effective tool to really get some information that's right, direct, authentic information to help our students in Methuen. Jeff, we're going to wrap it up. Do you have a link, or a website with Methuen Public Schools that you'd like to finish the show by telling the public?
Absolutely. If you go to the Methuen High School, or I should say the Methuen Public Schools website,
right.
You can go up to the top where it says departments. Go click on departments, scroll down, you'll see physical education and wellness right there. Click on it. We have information about our programs, all the way down to K-4 health through our high school programs. Health, physical, anything health, wellness, physical education related in this district, it's on there, including our rowing, including some of our new initiatives that we're trying to start at the high school. So please go, please check it out. We do good stuff, and the staff works hard to develop these programs, and they deserve a lot of credit and recognition for their hard work.
Okay. And that's the end of our show today. Please watch any of our shows coming up in the near future, and I have to say goodbye to Jameson.